generation interested in this issue. The nuclear threat was very present in the minds of many people during the 70s, the 80s. Now it has faded out of view. So it's very important that young people that do not have this experience, that they are aware of the issue, and that they are aware also that it depends on us, it depends on them to rid the world of nuclear weapons, and we need the engagement of young people to achieve our goal.
The role of young people is to demand what seems impossible and to every day create the world that we wish to live in.
Our job is to put pressure on decision makers of the world today. We have a responsibility in trying to persuade them into changing the world because they have the tools for it. We are the future.
We, the youth, are the ones that should decide about our own future, a peaceful future.
Holding conversations, organising events, making films, giving talks and workshops, learning, campaigning, and always pushing this idea whose time has come.
Young people have a lot of energy, and so they should be involved in campaigns and movements against nuclear weapons.
I think that young people have the ability and capacity to be able to excite and energize people around us and also the discernment community. So I think our role is to really just do that and be able to ensure that our efforts will continue into the future until the day that nuclear weapons are completely abolished.
Well, let me put it this way, nuclear technology is an inhumane technology. This might seem as a strong adjective, but humans make mistakes, and nuclear technology in general doesn't allow mistakes, which makes it inhumane.
That is why we need a ban treaty, a treaty very simple that will eliminate the residual ambiguity around nuclear weapons. Are they legal? Are they illegal? Can we have them? Can they have them? No, we need to state once and for all, even if the nuclear weapon states don't participate, that nuclear weapons are illegal. And if they don't come along, well, nonetheless, we are still furnishing new arguments towards elements within nuclear weapon states who are tired of wasting money on weapons which must never be used again at any cost.
We have to ban nuclear weapons before they destroy us.
I'm Jonathan Lauren, a third-year medical student from Berlin.
Hi, my name is Maria Novak. I work for ICANN in Berlin.
I'm Eric Huber from Hamburg, from Germany.
Hi, my name is Aino. I'm international students representative of the organization IPPNW.
My name is Katarina Kramer, and I'm the European student representative of IPPNW and also a member of IPPNW Germany.
It's important that in the public opinion that people actually know about this topic, that they know what nuclear weapons can do, that they still exist, how many, especially in Germany, for example, there are actually still nuclear weapons in Germany.
And for them to be around.
Nuclear weapons are a danger to humankind, that humankind is not able to handle it.
So I visited the semi-Paladins in Astana a few months back. I can see the impacts on the humanity there. They do have cancers, even the fifth generations, they do have a mutant genes.
Because there's a big civil society interested in seeing a change, and we need that change now. And it's like, I still don't understand why we still have these 7,000 weapons, and it has to happen as soon as possible.
It's actually crazy if you think that all weapons of mass destruction have been banned except for nuclear weapons, which is totally mental. But I think we're on a good way, and yeah, I'm positive.
As the Red Cross and other international organizations have stated that there would be no emergency relief be possible for when a nuclear detonation would take place.
Our main reason why we want to ban nuclear weapons is because there's just simply no treatment for if there was a nuclear explosion. So all the infrastructure like hospitals, doctors, nurses will be gone, and there's just no cure for a nuclear explosion.
Nuclear weapons are outdated. They serve no purpose in today's world, and they don't serve our security needs.
And that we have to do something against it.
I think it's very important to get the post-Cold War generation interested in this issue. The nuclear threat was very present in the minds of many people during the 70s, the 80s. Now it has faded out of view. So it's very important that young people that do not have this experience, that they are aware of the issue, and that they are aware also that it depends on us, it depends on them to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And we need the engagement of young people to achieve our goal.
The role of young people is to demand what seems impossible and to every day create the world that we wish to live in.
Our job is to put pressure on decision makers of the world today. We have a responsibility in trying to persuade them into changing the world because they have the tools for it. We are the future.
We, the youth, are the ones that should decide about our own future, a peaceful future.
Holding conversations, organising events, making films, giving talks and workshops, learning, campaigning, and always pushing this idea whose time has come.
Young people have a lot of energy, and so they should be involved in campaigns and movements against nuclear weapons.
I think that young people have the ability and capacity to be able to excite and energize people around us and also the discernment community. So I think our role is to really do that and be able to ensure that our efforts will continue into the future until the day that nuclear weapons are completely abolished.
Well, let me put it this way: nuclear technology is an inhumane technology. This might seem as a strong adjective, but humans make mistakes, and nuclear technology in general doesn't allow mistakes, which makes it inhumane.
That is why we need a ban treaty, a treaty very simple that will eliminate the residual ambiguity around nuclear weapons. Are they legal? Are they illegal? Can we have them? Can they have them? No, we need to state once and for all, even if the nuclear weapon states don't participate, that nuclear weapons are illegal. And if they don't come along, well, nonetheless, we are still furnishing new arguments towards elements within nuclear weapon states who are tired of wasting money on weapons which must never be used again at any cost.
We have to ban nuclear weapons before they destroy us.
Okay, please could we go back to our groups again? Could we please go back to our groups again? We gotta start the next session, so. それでは間もなく午後のセッションとなりますので、昼食のグループの位置にお戻りいただければと思います。間もなく午後のセッションに移りたいと思いますので、そのままグループディスカッションのままの場所でお戻りいただければと思います。Okay, could we go back to our groups, please? Okay.
So, hello and welcome back for the afternoon session. It was so interesting for me to go through your groups, take the pictures and listen a bit to your discussions. And I just saw a lot of interesting group energy on the various table and very interesting discussions. So I hope you enjoyed the time and discussed a lot and enough. Yes, did you like it? Was it useful? So if you still need to talk, I think there is plenty of time afterwards where you can stay with your group leaders and follow on your discussions. But now we will follow on with the program of the Youth Summit, because there is still some very interesting program points we will experience now in the afternoon. So the first part will be a showcase of youth activities. So some of the youth leaders that were part of your groups now will come to the stage and will introduce their work they're doing in their countries and in their organizations. And afterwards, the kind of last session of this day will be a concrete discussion of actions for the future, where different possibilities will be presented, and also the pledge that you have already heard of, which is going to be very strong thing. I forgot, for this showcase of the youth activities, there is also the possibilities then to ask questions to the podium.
So I'm sure that it was very useful to gather in different groups and to have a networking lunch. So now we've learned about the nuclear abolition. What exactly can we do about it, actually? This next session will tell us how we can get involved. So I would like also to start by introducing the showcasing of our upcoming session. These are some exciting examples of youth around the world and their nuclear disarmament efforts. 5 people from 5 different countries. So I would like to start by introducing Anda from Romania, from the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. Please welcome Anda. Peter from Kenya, from the IPPNW, the International Physicians for Prevention of Nuclear War. Please welcome Peter.
While Peter is still coming, I introduce the third person, which is going to be in the podium, and this is Meredith. She's from the United States, and she's representing Global Zero. To make this podium even more diverse, we add another continent. So the next person is going to be Mint. She's from Thailand, more specifically from SGI in Thailand. And last but not least is Hayato, and he is from the Nagasaki Youth Delegation. Welcome.
Working. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anda. I'm representing the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. And in the next minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our work, what we are doing around the world. I'm coming from Romania. I started working in nuclear disarmament in 2012. And since then, got involved in lots of activities, including education, raising awareness, lobbying, one-to-one meeting with officials, and not only from Romania, from around the world. And my particular work as advocacy includes both Romanian and Moldovan officials. but a little bit more about ICANN. It's an international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons that was established in 2007. We are currently having more than 500 members from more than 95 countries. We are a coalition that asks people, governments, international organizations to talk more about the catastrophic and acknowledge the catastrophic consequences of nuclear weapons. We ask them to talk and recognize the imperative of a ban treaty, even if not all the states, or there are just a few states in the world that possess them. There's an imperative need of a universal ban treaty on nuclear weapons. We need to delegitimize these weapons, and this should be the first step. As I was mentioned, ICANN is doing an international level, and there you can see a map where our partners organizations are based. So what it is with red are the countries where we do have partners organizations. To be more specific, now we have 424 countries. And besides kind of activities of raising awareness and doing one-by-one meetings and lobbying, also briefing governments during the conference, international conference and negotiation. Our work in the last year focused on what is known as the humanitarian movement or humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons, and everything started in 2010 to 2011 when, together with the RCSC, the International Red Cross and Red Cross movement, they had a resolution declaring that there's a necessity of a ban treaty and the total elimination of nuclear weapons. And we start constructing from that point. We went and talked with a lot of governments and asked our partners organization to share this movement in their specific countries and to raise support. Firstly, to raise support for bringing this discourse into the nuclear disarmament language, because that was the point when there has been a switch and human being was put in the center of the speech of nuclear disarmament, and we were not talking anymore about national security, but we consider what nuclear weapons do to people, to humans, and we need to go forward taking into consideration that point. Naturally, some conferences where governments were informed in a very comprehensive manner about the catastrophic consequences of nuclear weapons. The first one was in 2013 in Oslo. It followed one in 2014 in Nayarit, Mexico. And after two conferences that governments really understood what were the consequences of nuclear weapons, and in those conferences we've included testimonies of Hibakusha. We ended up with a conference in Vienna that had as an outcome document what is now called the Humanitarian Pledge. And what we are doing these days is trying to raise as much countries to support this humanitarian pledge. And as the last week, we have 114 countries that are supporting the humanitarian pledge. And the last thing that I want you to tell is that unfortunately Japan is not behind this humanitarian pledge yet. So please go to our website, goodbyenuke.s, and write to your foreign minister and ask them to support this, this paper that can bring us forward to a world free of nuclear weapons. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Peter Mboro. I'm a medical doctor from Kenya. I'm also a part of the ICANN movement, but I'm here really to speak about a project that we had this year to raise awareness on the issues surrounding uranium mining in Africa, as well as joining hands with the global movement that is in existence to ban nuclear weapons. So that's a picture of some of the climbers who took part going out Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. So the idea came about back in 2013 at the Africa Regional Meeting, where we spoke about doing something that will create awareness amongst the Tanzanian people about what's going on in central Tanzania with uranium mining and their government's intentions to start mining uranium. And we found that Tanzania was an apt place to hold the project, and having the continent's highest mountain, we thought that it would be a very ideal location for the project. We also thought that it would be easier for the people of Tanzania to connect with a project that is held in their own country. Tanzania also has a very good civil society movement surrounding uranium mining. So that was also a factor that we looked at when we chose Tanzania. So we started planning almost immediately and set dates for this year. So it took place at the end of June and the first week of July. And we managed to get people from about 7 countries. So we had people coming in from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Nigeria, from South Africa, from Estonia, India, and Germany. So the team generally comprised of about 22 young activists, but those who managed to do and take part in the climb were only 17. This was due to many factors that we couldn't really control. And those who managed to get to the very top were 12 of the 17. So the aim for us was to try and inspire as many African youth as possible by doing something ourselves that would require a huge amount of effort and commitment to do. Mount Kilimanjaro stands at about 5,985 meters above sea level. So it is a very, very high freestanding mountain. So it would require each and every one of us to try and overcome our own fears and our own limitations to try and get to the top. And we managed to do this with 12 people who made it to the very summit. When we got to the summit, it was very, very cold, but we managed to stand there and take pictures with some of the messages that we had regarding the uranium mining and banning of nuclear weapons. And on our way back down, we invited media groups to come and cover the event as much as they could. And we did manage to have a very good media splash in Tanzanian and East African media houses. So there was a good amount of attention in that week that we got from various media houses. And all the questions that we were getting managed to help us get even more ideas about what we need to do to put the message as far out as possible. So I will just speak about one of the big challenges that we have in Africa regarding the connecting to the movement of banning nuclear weapons. Africa as a continent does not really have any nuclear weapons, but it is one of the sources of the uranium ore. So like Tanzania wants to start mining, and there are already other countries that do mine uranium in Africa. So countries like Chad and Malawi and South Africa and Angola and DRC. So we want to try and build as many networks as we can. And this was a good opportunity for me to come here and learn from other organizations from other parts of the world about what they are doing in their own countries regarding raising awareness and networking and what sort of campaigns that they hold to bring to the fore, especially to policymakers, these issues that we do really need to talk about. And I would like to thank the city of Hiroshima for hosting us, SGI as a organization, and all the people from this lovely city. We have had a very good time here, and I want to thank you very much. Arigato.
Hello? Am I on? Excellent. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Meredith Hrowski, and I am the Global Campaign Director at Global Zero. We are the international movement for the elimination of nuclear weapons. Thank you all so much for having me here. It is truly an honor to be here with all of you who care so passionately about this issue. Let me first start by admitting that this issue is hard. It is complicated, and it's scary, and Putin is making our work even more difficult. This issue feels like yesterday's problem, and there's a serious political logjam that is blocking meaningful progress towards zero. But we're all here today because we know that we won't break that logjam without young people, the world's first post-Cold War generation, the most powerful political constituency in the world, working urgently to eliminate the single greatest humanitarian threat of the 21st century. But at Global Zero, we also knew that the old model of engaging youth and involving youth on this issue wasn't working. Student quote-unquote activism was marked by conferences and debates and policy papers and sometimes the occasional petition signature. We were talking ourselves in circles, preaching to the choir, and doing it in a way that wasn't motivating new people and wasn't building the movement. We needed a new platform for mobilizing young people, one that wasn't about the theoretical, that wasn't about policy debate or academic discussion. We needed a program that was laser-focused on action, laser-focused on training and deploying the right people with the right tactics at the right time to influence decision makers in a real way. So cue the Global Zero Action Corps. Earlier this year, we spent 2 months recruiting our butts off to recruit folks to this new kind of volunteer program that we were piloting in the US. We were selective and we were intentional. We focused on young people, on diversity, and on those who had a real appetite for organizing and for leadership. Our new volunteers didn't need to be experts on nuclear weapons. They just needed to have that burning desire to have a real impact. And we found them. We recruited, vetted, and trained 50 of the country's top volunteer leaders in strategic cities across the country, ready to go to work every single day for zero. They became the 2015 Global Zero Action Corps. So right off the bat, we brought them to New York City alongside the MPT conference for 3 days. And we gave them serious training on the issue, on organizing, and on advocacy. They put it all into practice there at the UN for the MPT, lobbying, high-level decision makers, leading those meetings. The UN Secretary General himself, Ban Ki-moon, thanked and congratulated the Global Zero Action Corps. And as you can see, they had some fun in the process. So our Action Corps leaders then went back to their communities and their campuses, and they went to work. And the results, I think, speak for themselves. In just a few months, they have recruited hundreds of core team members and started local Global Zero chapters. They've written 45 letters to the editor. They've hosted 112 Global Zero events. They've met with their members of Congress 65 times. They've written more than 1,000 handwritten letters to decision makers. They've met with presidential candidates on the campaign trail 8 times. They've published 15 op-eds in support of the Iran deal. They've generated more than 80 earned media hits. And they organized their own Global Day of Action on the anniversary of the bombing of Nagasaki, mobilizing more than 1,000 people in the streets to stand up and to call on our world leaders and to tell them that 70 years is too long to live in fear. The Global Zero Action Corps together has accomplished even more than I thought possible in 6 months. Their commitment, their enthusiasm, their creativity is truly astounding. And in my view, it's exactly what we need to win this fight. But we're not claiming victory yet. Real action on disarmament will require public pressure several orders of magnitude greater than exists today. We need thousands more activists like these and like all of you taking to the streets to demand a world without nuclear weapons. So I urge you to join me into challenging ourselves to stop talking ourselves in circles, to stop debating what we already know, that nuclear weapons are unacceptable, to stop using tactics that we know aren't working. Let's stop doing those things and let's start finding the right people. Let's start communicating in ways that resonate with them. Let's start giving them the tools and the training that they need to be successful. Let's empower them to do real, hard-hitting advocacy that moves decision makers and gets us closer to zero. Let's put action at the front and center of our work, and let's finally get to zero. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mint. My real name is Chanika Anwongwiriyawong. I'm from the Young Plants of Peace group from Sokagakai, Thailand. On August 15, as you can see in the picture, we hosted a Youth Peace Festival. So there was lots of people. I'll explain what the events comprise of and how it began. So on August 15, exactly 70 years since Japan surrendered the war, we held an all-day youth festival and exchange titled Ridding the World of Misery, commemorating 70th year since the atrocities caused by atomic bombs. My inspiration derives from a story that I have exchanged with my friends from the southernmost island of Kyushu, of Japan, called Kyushu. Can I have like my friends from Kyushu who's in here too? And can we give him a round of applause? Thank you so much. So the story that they have shared with me really inspired me because it was a story of how they overcame the challenges to organize a peace concert, such as the barrier of singing German songs, like training the 50,000 singers, Japanese youth singers, to sing German songs. They had no place to practice together. They had no venue to host the concert. But it was really for the cause of peace, the desire to give happiness to others and to relieve them of suffering. So all of these really inspired me to do what I thought was impossible. Right then, I made a promise to hold the first peace festival in my country. The morning session comprises a passionate dialogue among youth leaders from Cambodia, Laos, and Thailand about Dr. Ikeda's 2015 peace proposal titled A Shared Pledge for a More Humane Future to Eliminate Misery from the Earth. We also discussed challenges and practical implementations of peace in our respective countries. Following the dialogue was a warm, welcome reception to experience Thai culture, such as playing a rare 3-string instrument and creating a flower art. In the afternoon, the Peace Festival was open to public, featuring a series of performances, such as a contemporary dance depicting an experience of those searching for their lost family members right after the atomic bomb, a short film that poses a question that when the atomic bombs were dropped, who wins and who loses, or do we all lose? A woodwind performance conveying that when one person courageously stand up to transform our tendency to disrespect life, then the second, the third, and so on would join in the movement. Then a brass band and chorus performance on a song that represent a pledge from the youth to stand up against war and to transcend differences in ideology and create a strong movement for peace and culture. After that, we had a signing of 914 petitions, which I actually brought with me today here. The petitions for creating a new era of peace and abolishing nuclear weapons. The event ended with a finale song titled The Light of Peace, where everyone sang together in unison. This event was attended by 1,009 people. The word 9 in Thai also reads steps. Such significant number of 1,000 steps that each of us is taking is symbolic of the beginning of a new era of without nuclear weapons. To me, the success of this event does not lie only in the in the performance, but also in the countless victories that performers had in challenging the tendency to disrespect life and fostering the blossoming of a culture that respects the dignity of life. Even after the festival, a lot of you may know about the bombing situation in Thailand, which happened 2 days after the event. A lot of us really unite, both in our actions and our prayers for the disease, and really, united for the cause of peace. So, yes, I sincerely believe that these stories that they have fought, during struggling to create this event will further inspire other people who thought that there were things that they wanted to do but thought was impossible to make a change. That would really inspire them, just like how the story from my friend from Kyushu had inspired me. Thank you so much.
皆さん、こんにちは。Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hayato Kawano. I'm a student at Nagasaki University. I'm also a member of Nagasaki's delegation. Probably, there are people who don't know about the Nagasaki's delegation, so I'd like to talk about it briefly. Nagasaki Youth Delegation is a youth organization run by PCU, Nagasaki Prefecture, Nagasaki City, and Nagasaki University. Nagasaki's delegation members are people who live in Nagasaki, applied for this program, and was selected by PCU. After the task examination, we began our activities. Our activities largely covered three main topics. First, we study about the atomic bombing history. For example, the testimonies from survivors or Hiroshima in Japanese, visiting the atomic bombing memorial and damaged places, and learn about the current nuclear weapons situation, the NPT conference, and the stance of various countries on the issues. Second, we took part in NPT conference in New York this past April. We were able to talk with world governments, visit a Japanese school, teach the history of the atomic bombing, and exchange with German university students, and our NGO organization about disarmament education. Finally, after the conference, we held a report session in Nagasaki University for not only regular citizens, but also students. Even we visited middle school to teach about the nuclear weapons situation and our activities. I cannot explain all the youth delegation's activities in full days, so please visit our Facebook page, Nagasaki Youth Delegation, to learn more. Some friends ask me, why are you interested in these issues? Actually, I'm from Miyazaki Prefecture. I had never taken a class about the atomic bombing, but Nagasaki is not in the same situation. I have heard from friends who grew up in Nagasaki. They know about and so on peace and atomic bombing issues, even people in my same generation. So I was very impressed. Then I researched about the nuclear weapons situation all over the world. I didn't know the real number of nuclear weapons, or that even a single of these weapons is able to destroy people and city and life. Actually, I thought there are about 10 nuclear weapons all over the world, but correctly number, the real number is about 16,000. When I found out this number, I got goosebumps and felt fearful. I thought Japan is safe and in peace, but it is fake peace because of nuclear weapons. This machine does keep us safe at the moment notice could break down, so this is very dangerous situation the world is in. Therefore, I want people to know about and share knowledge of this situation. I want to take action together. Furthermore, I know that many youth are taking action all over the world, but there are not enough people who are interested in nuclear weapons issues in Japan. Actually, I attended the ICANN Civil Society forum in Vienna. I was surprised that a lot of other young people have come together and doing things for these issues. It motivated me to take actions. In this session, I've been able to share and know about the thought of many people from different countries. So I will go back to Nagasaki and share this experiment with others. I want to cooperate with people from all over the world. Thank you for listening and thank you for cooperating.
Thank you so much for your presentations and for introducing your organizations and your work. And if I would not be a nuclear abolition campaigner, you would have motivated me to become active now. I hope also for you, this counts for you as well. So yeah, very inspiring. I guess that some of you might have some questions for my colleagues up here on the table. So we are now going to do a short Q&A session. You can ask like before your questions in English or in Japanese. Yuya will help with this translation. And we have microphones that will be brought to you. So please just raise your hand if you have a question. And yeah, let us start. I guess there, right in the back, we have one here. Is the microphone coming to you, or where are the, or just if you raise your voice.
It's coming.
And now I can save my voice for karaoke sessions. Okay. My name is Aysura and I'm from Iran. I'm currently studying global studies in Hiroshima Jogakuin Daigaku. Well, because of my major, I'm also exposed to all these youth movements and all that. And also, like, I see so many youth. We are the future of our countries. And the reason why sometimes we nag about our governments not being good is because maybe we are not taking action now. So I want to know, how do you make your volunteers or youth around you interested in youth movements and doing something for their future? For their children, for their grandchildren, for whoever is coming after them. Yeah. And what are the challenges? How do you approach them?
Would you like to have an answer of all of them so that you start, or is it directed to?
I don't know if we have time, or because they come from different countries, so maybe they have.
Sure,
I think
yeah.
we have time that everybody answers if you want.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me translate in Japanese now. 私はイランから来たアイスーダと申します。広島女学院で学んでおります。 今、この青年のテーマで議論をしており、様々なお話をいただきましたが、まさに若者、青年が世界の未来であるというふうに感じましたし、またそのようなお話が今ございましたが、まだまだ行動を起こしきれていないんではないかという現実もあると思います。そういう中で、ぜひ、今日、先ほどお話しいただいた皆様、どなたでも結構ですので、どのようにして、若者層、特に若い人たちにですね、若い人たちにどういうふうにこの問題に関心を持ち、この核兵器廃絶のためにどう呼びかけて、一人でも多くの人を巻き込んでいけるようなことができると考えていますでしょうか。またそういった、若者だけでなく、将来を担う将来の世界を担う人たちへの呼びかけをどういうふうにしておりますでしょうか。また、どういうような課題に直面をしているかをお話しいただければと思います。
Who wants to start? I think you can choose. Who wants? Yeah?
すいません、日本語でいいですか。
はい、OK、
やっぱり、特に若い人たちっていうのは、やっぱりこう、戦争の経験がなかったりとか、やっぱり、被爆者の方だったら本当に力があると思うんですけど、やっぱりなかなかない分、こう一歩に踏み出せないってことがあると思うんですけど、でもやっぱり若者の人たちをどのようにこう引きつけるかっていうのを考えると、いろんなアプローチの仕方があるなというふうに思います。
Okay, so if I can answer in Japanese, I think that as youth, we have not experienced any wars, and I think in that way we're different from hibakusha, who have experienced firsthand the atrocities of war. And I think there are many ways, and I think in that sense we're different. But I think there are ways, there are various approaches to be able to involve more youths.
例えば先ほどのピアノもそうです。やっぱり音を聞いて、その中に込められた思いっていうのはやっぱり伝わると思うんです。例えばアートでもそうですし、いろんな形の伝え方があって、間接的でもやっぱり気持ちっていうのは伝わると思います。
And I think one great example is the piano we heard this morning from a girl who is not a hibakusha, of course, herself, but through that sound, it really portrayed, it really relayed or conveyed the heart that was behind her passion for peace. And I think there are many ways that we can express this through art and other means as well. And I think, yes, there are many ways to express that.
また、特に日本の人の方、若い人っていうのは、やっぱりこうなかなかこう一歩踏み出せないというのが多いんですけど、実際に僕がオーストリアの会議に出たときに、日本とは違う雰囲気を持った会議が行われていて、とても若い人がたくさんいて驚きでした。やっぱりそういういろんな海外からのアプローチの視点とか、いろんな形をこれから知っていって、日本でも行っていけば活動広がると思いますし、世界でもいろんな活動を通してこう強化していくと、また活動も広がるんじゃないのかなというふうに僕は思います。ありがとうございます。
And as a youth, I think in Japan especially, we may not be able to take or have courage to take concrete action. But myself, when I had a chance to participate in the conference in Vienna, Austria, some time ago, I was very myself surprised and astonished by how the conferences are held with so many youths, and the vibrant atmosphere that I've experienced was so different from Japan. And I was able to really learn how there are different approaches to one and also different perspectives. And I think, as for myself, Japan can really learn from other countries in the way they conduct and approach many different activities. And I think there are ways that we can all learn from each other. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your question. I could really understand your sentiment, being in, the very country that is under the threat of nuclear war, potential localized nuclear war. So it's not an easy issue. I think a lot of us would feel, sometimes I feel conflicted when I hear, experiences from hibakusha. Should I cry or should I not cry? Is that expressing my weakness or is that just being myself? Yeah, so I think it's something that we struggles all the time, right? But to accept that there's a human side to us, and there's also the other side that, like, of us that disrespect lives. So really understanding who we're talking to, I think you do that already. So I'll share my own a little short experience about how this peace movement like began in Thailand. So when I first went back after my study in the United States to Thailand 3 years ago, there was no, consistent activities on peace in Sokarakai. So I asked the question, can we host an exhibition, transforming the human spirit? Or now that we, SGI and ICANN has started a new exhibition called Everything You Treasure. So I keep asking, can we do exhibition? And it was like, the nuclear weapon is something so like far removed from daily life, especially for Thai people. Like we know nothing about there's not much talk about it. Yeah, so for a while, I really didn't understand why, it hasn't started, like why am I pushing this and it hasn't been happening. But later on, slowly, it's been 3 years and this is the first movement that I'm able to launch related to nuclear abolition, directly related to. So, it takes some hibakusha 60 years to talk about the experience. It only took me 3 years to start this. So I think, it's a very difficult issue internally and also outwardly. I think as long as you continue, this is the key. Yeah, I hope I answer your question in the slightest sense.
That's the ultimate question, right? Is how do we motivate volunteers? How do we motivate and mobilize our peers to take action? It's tough, but I think from my experience as an organizer, and particularly an organizer of young people on a variety of issues, you need 3 critical things. The first is a clear theory of change. The second, you need to be able to clearly articulate to the people you are trying to motivate how they fit into your theory of change. And thirdly, you need concrete resources and opportunities for them to then execute how they fit into your theory of change. I think importantly, young people especially, but most all volunteers, volunteer to have an impact. So you have to be able to illustrate to them how what they're doing, how the actions that they're taking are having an impact on the issue as a whole, which for the issue of nuclear weapons is difficult to do because it is exceptionally existential and, as we've talked about, can feel very distant and to some degree theoretical. I think to combat that, the stories that we've heard from the survivors, as well as your own personal stories for why you got involved in the issue in the first place, are really critical to motivating other people and to illustrating how you can have a tangible impact. I think the same things that motivate all of us at this table, motivate all of you around the room, are the same things that are going to motivate your peers and the people you're trying to engage to get involved. So I would recommend honing in on your own story, being able to articulate that to others about why you got involved, why you're passionate about the issue, and why our generation has a concrete opportunity to make change.
Thank you very much for your question. That's a very difficult question to answer. Because for me, coming from a continent where we don't have any nuclear weapons, like some of my colleagues have mentioned, Meredith and Mint, the challenge becomes that, the issue of nuclear weapons is very distant. Nuclear weapons are in America, nuclear weapons are in Europe and in other places. So why should we care about such a thing? So what I found and part of the reason I joined the movement was as a doctor, I can relate to something that's very close to my heart. So the humanitarian aspect of the presence of nuclear weapons in the world is something I really connected to. And the need and the very present danger of having nuclear weapons in the world is something that I find very scary. So part of the strategy that we use in Kenya, especially like with medical students, is finding something emotional that people can attach value to. So being in the medical profession, we use the health effects of nuclear weapons and what would happen if a nuclear weapon detonated, by accident or for whatever reason. So we know that the world relies on each other, and part of the damage that would come from such an event would be one, environmental, and two, all the health implications that will follow. We know that as it is, even if one bomb was to go off, that the world does not have the capacity to deal with the scale of damage, whether health-wise or environmentally, that would result as an effect of a nuclear weapon, exploding. So it's very easy for us to take things for granted. So like I like to use the example of if you've ever like cut a finger of yours when you were cooking, or for whatever reason you injured a part of your hand, that's when you really realize how important that one part of your body is to your day-to-day living. So like if you injured your thumb, and that's your dominant hand, and that's the hand you use to write, then you start to realize how important it is that that part is hurt and you're not able to use it as well as you would normally do. So as a world, the thing that I try to appeal with the youth in Africa is that we cannot act as one. We cannot leave the struggles of the West to the West. We have to think and act and coordinate things that we do on a global level, because we need all the parts for something to work and to work properly. So and the youth is the future, like we keep saying. So we need to safeguard our own future. So it has to come out, and it has to emanate from this generation. We're the people who are very, very we're the generation of change. So we need to find those emotive tags. And like Mr. Tanabe in his presentation mentioned that, enable yourself to be able to share the message by gaining a lot of knowledge and understanding what has happened in the past, so that you can reflect on it and use it as a basis of what you're going to do as far as the campaign is concerned. The other thing that I almost forgot is that people in Africa feel that the problems that we have in Africa are bigger. Nuclear weapons cannot really be a thing that we need to talk about right now, but it really is one of the things that we need to talk about right now, because if a bomb went off in some part of Europe, if anything, it leaves the people of Africa even more vulnerable, because they already are vulnerable. So they would be in an even greater danger than other parts of the world. So that's part of what I use when I speak to people, and as part of the advocacy, is to find something that they can connect with and that they can hold on to when they themselves go to speak to others and raise awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. I will be short here. Yes. I want to point maybe two things. Firstly, at international level, what we are doing as a coalition to support the youth involved in ICANN. We do have quite a lot of youth association and organization that are members of our coalition. So we're trying to support them as much as we can, for example, in activities like forming youth delegation for international intergovernment organization. We have a great collaboration with Bang Association, Ban on New Generation, which brought around from 20 to 40 youth at each NPT review conference or major international negotiation conference. So we're trying to support the youth in our coalition by trying to create projects together with them to be partner in their activities. and to have this youth delegation of the conference in order for the diplomats and representative of governments to see that the youth, the ones that are creating the future world, are there and want to discuss with them and have exact message that want to send. The second part I wanted to reply to your question was about the situation in Romania, because I'm coordinating the campaign in Romania. And we do have in my country quite young civil society due to the fall of the communism, recently fall of communism. So we do have a lot of youth engaged in civil society. Our problem is how do we get them involved in nuclear disarmament? And sometimes they have the feeling that the domain is so far away and there are such a few people in this world that have the responsibility to talk about nuclear disarmament. And this is our first step, to tell them that they do have the power and responsibility to talk about nuclear disarmament. We educate them and try to tell them as much as we can about the consequences of nuclear weapons. And we give them support in meeting with their representatives, especially with parliamentarians. We offer them different tools, like helping them in writing letters to their parliamentarians or talking points if they have one-to-one meeting with their representatives. Because it is, as I mentioned before, it is very, very important for them to realize that we indeed are a generation of change and we are creating the future world, and our representative and the politicians needs to know what our requires for the world that we want to live from now on.
Thank you so much for your answers and the information you gave. I am very sorry that I need to say that, but I need also to look at the time. So, I could listen to your answers and your stories for hours, but unfortunately we don't have time for more questions because we need to go on with the program. So I would suggest, if you have more questions, they all have websites of their organizations, they have contact formulas or email addresses, or I think you can also, most of them are on Twitter or on Facebook, find them and write them. And maybe you can find a way of working with them, helping, or even distributing their courses and their informations. Yeah, thank you so much. Now that you heard about some of the campaigns, we have Anda still on stage from ICANN and Rioma from IPPNW are going to facilitate the next session, and this is going to be focused on actions for the future. So enjoy, and here's the microphone for you.
Okay, we're going to manage. Action for the future, or maybe rephrasing it, or what kind of campaigns or what kind of advocacy we can do. But before talking about advocacy, maybe let's define a little bit the term and the concept, what advocacy means. And we are usually using with a definition, working with a definition that we are now in a concrete point in a situation, and we identify that a change needs to be done. So what can we do in order for that change to take place? And I'm going to talk a little bit about more tools of advocacy, what advocacy means, from education to awareness, if everything is advocacy or not.
今から、いよいよですね、我々全員参加して、 これから何ができるのか、自分たち何ができるのかって話をしていただく時間になります。大きなテーマはアドボカシーというテーマです。ちょっとこの言葉、日本人には聞き慣れないと思いますので、アドボカシーっていう言葉について、少し説明をしたいと思います。アドボカシーっていう言葉を聞いたことあるっていうか、知ってますって人いらっしゃいますか？あんまりいらっしゃらないですよね。なので、アドボカシーという言葉についてですね、最初にちょっとお話ししております。国際会議とか国連とかでよく使われるこの言葉なんですが、直訳すると、指示とか衝動を伝えること、唱えることみたいな意味なんですけど、辞書では何か特定の政策とか運動の提案とか、それに対する変化を支持する活動のことをアドボカシーと言います。多分まだピンとこないと思うんで、我々ちょっと実は独自にちょっとこういう、ディフィニッション、定義をちょっとしました。ですね、こういうふうに考えてます。私たちが今、この社会でですね、このままじゃいけない。何か変化をしなきゃ、変わらなきゃというふうに、何か変化の必要性を感じて、で、その変化を起こすために、あるいはその変化をすることを助けるために、何でもいいから何かを始めたときにそれをアドボカシーと言いましょうというふうに定義します。なので、アドボカシーという言葉、そういうふうな意味だとして、ご理解ください。
So if sometimes by campaigning we understand supporting a cause, by advocacy we understand trying to change a certain policy. Okay. Now, if you want to think a little bit of how this change can be done, we have a few specific steps. The first two are very important, and in the case of nuclear disarmament, they are already been done by most of the activists. The first one is analyzing the context, seeing what can you do, where is this change needed, and what can we actually do. And the second one is disseminating information, actually raising awareness about that problem.
これから具体的にどうしたらいいかということについて少し述べたいと思います。まず2ついきますね。1つ目は、その変化を起こすとか変化を必要だっていうことをサポートするとかにあたってですね、まずどんな変化が必要かということを自分の中で明確に意識して、それを言葉にすることです。これがまず第1点目。で、2点目が、それを言葉にしたら、次にそれを人に伝えるということです。言葉にして人に伝える。例えば Facebook、Twitter、そういったことで拡散されてもいいですし、どんな方法でも構いません。そうやって周りの人に伝えて知ってもらうこと、これが2番目のステップになります。
The first steps that you have to take is start doing this change. Start talking with your friends about the issue. Start talking in your community. Start talking with people and public that are interesting or is interesting in the field, and after that just expand your public. Talking about public, go publicly. Go in public places. Go in well-known places, like in the center of a city, on a symbolic place in your city. Go there and make an action. Tell unknown people and strangers about your cause, because they might not have the possibility to reach your information if we are standing only in our offices. And, okay.
今度は実際の変化、行動に行きます。まず、その小さな範囲とか大きな範囲とかいろいろあると思うんですけど、全部大事なことなので、一個一個言いますね。まずは、自分の周りと共有することです。友達とか知り合いとかそういう人たちと核のことについて話すこと。で、これ一つが本当に素晴らしいアクションだと思います。で、もしも可能だったらそれをビデオに撮って SNS で共有するとかですね。そういったこともいいかもしれません。で、もしもう少し頑張れるよっていうことであれば、アクションを Go Public、社会に向けてください。で、社会に向けるっていうのはどういうことかっていうと、例えばこういうふうに300人もの人が集まって話をする。これは難しいんですけど、5人でも10人でも何人でもいいんです。考えたこともない、聞いたこともない 興味ないっていう人いっぱいいますんで、そういう人たちを集めて何か講演会を開いたり、研修会を開いたりっていうことを、していきます。そういうことをね、一つやることも大事です。例えば平和公園とか、ミュージアムとかに行って署名をやったり、ビラを配ったりっていうことも素晴らしい活動だと思います。
Use other instruments and be creative. Use, for example, arts in order to raise awareness about the issue and write. Write to your editors from newspaper or ask newspaper to come and interview you. Write on your blogs. Just write about the issue.
それともう一つはいろんなアプローチの方法を考えるということです。さっきまで言ったような真面目なアプローチもありますけど、例えば音楽を使う、ダンスをする、アートを使うなんていういろんなアプローチの仕方を模索してみる。これも大事なことです。もう一つは、社会に影響力がある人たちに手紙を書くとか、言葉に文章にして伝えるっていうことで、それを例えば、政治家に送ったり、国際機関の代表に送ったり、あるいはメディアに送ったりということをしてみる。
If until now you follow these steps and you create the public pressure, the last two steps are very important. Firstly, you need to follow the negotiation on nuclear disarmament and see what your government is doing, what other governments are doing, and try to convince them to change their approach. And you can ask to change their approach by having meeting with them. Talk to your diplomats, talk to your representatives, talk to your parliamentarians that could put pressure in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it is very important for them to know that we are following their negotiation, we know what they are doing, and we need to change what they've done until now, because it didn't work.
もう一個これ最後になりますけど、大事なことは常にそういった問題について、これやったぞ、もう OK、万歳じゃなくてですね、ずっと関心を持って政府がどういうふうに動いているか、いろんな国際機関がどういうふうに動いているかと、関心を持ってフォローしていく。そしてこれはダメだなとかって思ったら、さっきのアクションを起こしたり、最終的にはそのディシジョンメーカー、いろんな決定をしていく人たちと実際に会ってですね、何か変化を求めたりとかっていうこともやっていけたらいいなというふうに考えます。
We just try to present you a few steps. You can ask more your coordinators of each group about each specific steps. And we now have for you 3 questions that you have 20 minutes at your disposal, 15 minutes, sorry, we spoke too much, 15 minutes. Okay. 3 questions, but you need to focus on the last 2 questions. 15 minutes at your disposal to answer those questions. And those questions are: 1. What was your most significant learning from today? 2. What can you do in your own capacity? 3. What's the first step you can take after you leave this summit?
今までいろんなことを紹介しましたけど、これから皆さんにディスカッションをしてもらいます。何ができるのかっていうディスカッションをしています。で、3つのテーマを、考えてもらいます。1つ目、今日学んだことの中、知ったことの中で何が一番心に残りましたか、これを共有してください。2つ目、あなたが何ができるか。いろんな方法があると思います。さっき紹介したようないろんなステップを通じて、自分にできることを考えてください。そして最後に、今日の気づき、この学びをより身近なものとして未来につなげるためにですね、とりあえずこのサミットが終わってから一番最初にできること何かってことを考えてみてください。
So, last remarks, you have your big sheet. Okay, there we want to see the short answers of all your members of the group. And I would kindly ask each of the participants to answer the 3rd question also on your notebooks in order to take home with you and not forget what you commit to yourself to do after you leave the summit. 3rd.
お願いしたいことが1個あって、いろいろ質問に答えっていうか、テーマについて答えを書くと思うんですけど、3番目の質問、とりあえず帰ってから何か最初にできること何かってことについては、ノートに書いて、持って帰って大事にしてください。
Okay, 15 minutes from now on, we're going back after it to hear from some of you the ideas and answer the question. Good luck.
15分と短いですが、頑張ってください。よろしくお願いします。
Hello again, everyone. I would like to kindly ask you to try to wrap up a little bit the answer. You still have 1 minute and a half, maximum 2 minutes, until we're going to ask for the volunteers to come and present your ideas.
話も盛り上がっているとは思うんですが、あと1、2分で、まとめていただきます。そして20グループあってですね、本当は皆さん一人一人のグループにですね、発表していただきたいんですが、時間関係で大変申し訳ないんですが、1グループだけ、ボランティアで、ご自身のグループで話し合った内容を共有していただければと思います。
Are you ready? Are you ready? Managed to finish? Okay, yes. How about a round of applause for your efforts? I'm sure all your ideas are great and can't wait to hear about all of you taking action starting the end of this summit.
すみません、時間もちょっと近づいてまいりました。そろそろ発表の時間です。よろしいでしょうか。はい、皆さんがこれから今話し合った内容を形にして、未来が良くなっていくことを本当に心から希望します。さて、発表です。
Good work. Before asking for one volunteer to come in front and present the ideas, we like to thank to our translators, the volunteer translators that have been with us in each our group. Thank you very much.
それじゃあ1グループ、ですね、その前に、各グループで頑張ってくれた日本人スタッフの方ですかね、トランスレートしてくれた方、本当にありがとうございました。
And now, the first person that will raise their hand will come up there because we wanted someone, not a summit participant, international participant. Okay.
1グループと思ったんですけど、最初に手を挙げた人って言ったらもう上がっちゃいましたね。そう。One?
Just one.
すみません、グループ2にごめんなさい。してもらいます。Okay. Oh, it's my group. Okay.
Social media, Facebook. Our group is going to take back what we learned today and take it basically make a synopsis and send it back to all our friends on using social media.
最初に一つ目はですね、今日あったことを、まさに今日あったこと、今ここであったことを Facebook とか Twitter で友達と共有する。写真撮って共有してもいいしということです。
We have some folks that actually have are editors of magazines. So what they're going to do is take what we've learned today and put it in a blog and actually publish it in a magazine and distribute it to their friends.
例えば、創価学会の香港の人が来たんですけど、自分のコミュニティの雑誌とかニュースレターとかで記事を書いて今日のことを共有したいと思いますという意見もありました。
Okay, and then what do we have in there? Engage colleagues. Oh yeah. That's right. So we have a lot of students in our group that are going to take this back to their friends and basically share it with their friends, and then everyone it passes on.
学生もグループに何人かいて、まず学校の友達と仲間と共有するっていうことも出ました。
We're going to go back and encourage more of these summits and actually encourage our friends to come out and support these summits wherever we are. We are from everywhere, so there's a lot of summits to be had.
こういう会議があったらまた参加しよう。それも大事な活動だねっていうことを言いました。
And also organize more meetings.
そして参加するだけじゃなくて、自分の周りを誘って参加すること、そして自分自身が作ることもいいねと。
We pledged to act for. We made our pledge as a group to act for a world without nuclear bombs, and then of course it's the hashtag Hiroshima YS 2015.
核のない世界のために頑張りますとここに誓います。ツイッターのこれハッシュタグです。
Thank you very much, and thank you for reminding us about the hashtag and about the possibility of taking a selfie with your own pledge. So we expect tonight when you go home and open our laptops and search for Hiroshima YS 2015 to find all of you on internet with a pledge. And please also share the ideas for the action that you came up now. We want to be inspired by you.
もし、一つお願いがあります。もしも可能だったら、こういう紙にですね、自分の今日の誓いみたいなものを書いて、で、自分でパシャッと撮って、それを Facebook とか Twitter でシェアしていただければ、それは素晴らしい活動になると思いますので、よろしくお願いします。
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Adna, and all the group who participated in the session of Action for Future Training Motivational Session, including the presentation of Action and Plan Youth Pledge. Right now, actually, I'd like to remind you that our event is streamed online, so keep logging in. And also keep sharing all of your thoughts on Twitter, feed hashtag Hiroshima YS 2015. Stay tuned. Actually, I would like to welcome Mr. Rick Wayman from Nuclear Peace Foundation and Anna Ikeda from Soka Gakkai International to present the Youth Pledge. Please welcome them.
Wow, what an amazing and lively discussion. I wish that we had more time to continue doing so, but I really feel this is just the beginning, and I really hope that you feel as inspired as I am. So as we have been discussing action and doing something and taking action in our own capacity, just we had in the discussion groups, we're now adapting a youth pledge that we've been hearing about. This is a youth pledge for nuclear abolition. And as you can see, many of us are wearing this t-shirt. And we, the representatives of about 30 youth around the world, we have been working on this document over the last few months, actually, with the aim that the pledge would not only convey our determination to abolish nuclear weapons, but also we want to invite as many youth around the world to join this movement. We call this the generation of change. So it is a hope that this pledge will inspire young people around the world to think of what each of them can do in their own capacity for a world without nuclear weapons.
The pledge is a tool that we can use to engage other youth in the movement. And we invite all of you to be the first group to sign on to this pledge. You can do it right now on the website, internationalyouthsummit.org, and it's linked right there from the front page. So if you have a phone or a laptop in front of you right now, go ahead and do it right now. Those of you at home watching on the live stream, I know you're on a computer, so you can do it right now too. But right now, we would like to present the pledge to Mr. Ahmed Al-Andawi, the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth. So first, I will read the pledge. It's titled Generation of Change, a Youth Pledge for Nuclear Abolition. Nuclear weapons are a symbol of a bygone age, a symbol that poses imminent threat to our present reality and has no place in the future we are creating. 70 years have passed since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, yet the existence of nuclear weapons continues to threaten every single person with the prospect of a cruel and inhumane death. For 70 years, speeches have been made, statements issued and endorsed, saying never again, yet we're still held hostage by nuclear weapons. We, youth around the world, are mustering the courage to stand up and fulfill these decades-old promises of abolition. We need to eliminate this threat to our shared future, and we urge you to join us, the generation of change. It is time to take action. We seek human security and sustainability, which are impossible to achieve fully in the presence of nuclear weapons. Youth see the potential for a world without nuclear weapons. We see the potential for security not to be based on fear and more militarism, but on diplomacy, cooperation, and trust. Abolishing nuclear weapons is our responsibility. It is our right, and we will no longer sit by while the opportunity of nuclear abolition is squandered. We, youth in all our diversity, and in deep solidarity, pledge to realize this goal. We are the generation of change. The continued existence of nuclear weapons is unacceptable, and action must be taken to protect our shared future. Therefore, as the generation of change, we pledge to continue to educate and empower ourselves in order to better spread this awareness among our peers. Recognize that diversity in this work is important and work to educate ourselves on how gender impacts disarmament. Take action, raise our voices, and pursue nuclear abolition in our communities and in our countries. Share our knowledge about the humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons and the experiences of hibakusha and survivors of nuclear weapon tests. Encourage others to join the nuclear abolition movement and establish a strong unity among all nuclear abolition campaigners. Call upon every state to start negotiations on an international treaty for the prohibition and elimination of nuclear weapons, and to call on our elected representatives to adopt national legislation prohibiting and criminalizing the manufacture, investment in, testing, deployment, threat, or use of nuclear weapons. We, the generation of change, invite you to join us as we raise our collective voice to call for action. We refuse to stand by while nuclear weapons continue to threaten us and future generations. Join us, take action, and create change. Thank you.
Good job. Really good job. You made it. It's a great call for action, great pledge, commitment, bringing young people from all over the world. And I think you have said it in a very eloquent way. And I think the world must listen, as I said before. Now, let me share with you a few thoughts here. As you rightly said, this call for abolishing nuclear weapons have been made almost 70 years ago. And since then, it has been repeated over and over again. But this call has been a missed call in many opportunities. And I think today we must raise our voices. We must talk to those who are in power, challenge them, and encourage them to take steps to save humanity from the danger for nuclear weapons. We need today to revive our humanity and sense of solidarity at the global level. As I said in my opening remarks, we just can't afford to gamble with our future. And we can and we should never allow anyone to gamble with our future. So you have a pledge to do certain things, and there are some of the pledges here, they require others to act on them as well. But I will invite you to start with yourselves first. Now I'll tell you what I miss in our work today. What we miss is having a global youth movement working towards peace. Our world is not in a good shape today. There are burning fires almost everywhere. Last year, we had the largest number of refugees and displaced people because of conflicts and disaster since the Second World War. Today, close to 600 million youth, they live in conflict zones or fragile security situations. Young people, they should not live in either as refugees, displaced, or victims of conflicts, or be forced to be perpetrators of these conflicts. We must put an end to that. Coming to here was following the news of the Syrian conflict. And you all hear the news about and the tragedy of the Syrian refugees. And many more young people around the world who are suffering from these conflicts. So today we are coming in particular to make a pledge to get rid of nuclear weapons. But today also we must pledge to get rid of the culture that would allow and legitimize and justify the use of these weapons. The absence of peace in our world today is our biggest challenge. Because you can't do development without peace. And you can't have peace without development. And you can nor have peace without development without investing and working with young people. So think about it. We have the largest generation of young people in the history. Half of this world population today under 25 years of age. A massive potential to bring peace and prosperity to their countries. But when you think that 600 million from young people today, they are living in conflict zone, fragile security situation, this is a wasted potential. So I'm asking young people today to also join forces with other youth organizations and other youth groups who are working towards peace. Last week, we met in Amman, Jordan. And there we had what we call it the first global forum on youth, peace, and security. And before I leave you, I have to explain to you and give you a homework as well as you go home. Now see the situation. To maintain international peace, you have to connect the dots. There are many youth groups today working in different sub-issues and sub-questions. Some young people are working in promoting peace. Others are working in countering violent extremism. Some are working to countering hate speech. Others are working to win the virtual battle online with the terrorists. Others are working in mediation. Some are working in the post-conflict settings, trying to help people to keep peace and restore it. Others are working on disarmament. Some youth groups like yourselves are working on abolishing nuclear weapons. Now, all these elements are extremely important, but we just can't afford to go in different directions and not to come together. Because all these efforts are centered around one single and central question, that is peace and security. That is why last week we came with what we call a Man Youth Declaration, which is calling for a new agenda at the global level that includes and connects all these dots and give an umbrella for all these topics. That is the umbrella of youth, peace, and security. And we even called the Security Council of the United Nations to adopt a resolution to bring all these topics in one coordinated package. Now, what you have done here is extremely important. You know, the issue about disarmament and nuclear weapons and peace building and peace and security have been always perceived as the question of politicians. And to put it in a more visual way for you, the United Nations is built on 3 pillars: human rights, development, and peace and security. Now, youth participation has been happening for decades now in the development, employment, health, education, all these issues, and in human rights as well. The only area that has been almost exclusive for adults or for politicians, ministers of defense, military experts, has been the peace and security. Now, the founding nations of the United Nations were very smart people, actually. They designed it in a model where you really can't have a stable, functioning planet without having these 3 elements: peace and security, human rights, and development. But for far too long, young people have been excluded from peace and security debate because of the reasons I mentioned. Now, what we are trying to do is to reverse that and to say that young people are central to make peace and security a reality. So we need to break the wall between development, human rights, and peace and security, and to say that it's impossible to have peace without development, and as I said, no development without peace, and there's no peace nor development without youth participation. When it comes to peace and security, we need your contribution and your pledge to be heard everywhere. But today I also challenge you to work with your other youth organizations around the world who are working in peace and security. Because what you are trying to do here is the core question of peace and security: disarmament and nuclear abolition, nuclear weapons. So to do that, we need to work with others. And as I said, we just can't afford not to work together. So I invite you today to join this global movement of youth organizations, individuals, and other organizations who are working to include youth in peace and security. I think your pledge is just a clear example what young people can offer to the debate in peace and security for all those who are still questioning whether young people can make a contribution there. I just can't take it anymore as a youth envoy that I see young people suffering all over the world from conflicts. They are the ones who are either used in these conflicts at the forefront as soldiers, sometimes even as children soldiers, or they are used for the hate speech, and they end up sometimes in shelters and refugee camps. And this way of looking at young people either as perpetrators of conflicts or as victims should be challenged today. I want to ask you, the images you see in TV when you see any of these wars or the bloody conflicts around the world are usually images of young people mainly. So they are being sent to these conflicts. They are being killed, kidnapped, used. But I rarely saw in my life young people being invited to peace talks. When there are peace negotiations, they don't bring young people to the table. So they see you good enough to be fighters, to be killed and to kill. But you are not good enough yet to come to the peace negotiation table. And we should change that. We should never allow young people to be used anymore in these conflicts, to be sent to these conflicts, and they are not even invited to be part of the healing. That's why I'm calling for a new agenda, youth, peace, and security. And we need to bring young people to this third pillar of the United Nations and to this third pillar of development around the world. That's what we need today. I think Europe Pledge is making a contribution that should be heard. I only pledge that I will carry your message forward, and I hope you will pledge as well to work with others to reintroduce this new package and new agenda of youth, peace, and security. It's only with your participation, with your dedication, that we can make that happen. And we cannot afford to delay it anymore. It's a very urgent call, and let's honor the legacy of the survivors by making in their lifetime something happen and to get at least this task done for abolishing nuclear weapons. We can do that, but we have a much bigger task of promoting peace and fighting hate speech around the world. So let's do that together. That's the message and the commitment of the United Nations. I thank you all for your commitment and leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those words. We can't express how much we appreciate your presence here today, the support of your office in the United Nations in this effort for nuclear abolition. And I'm sure many of us in this room will be involved in that broader struggle for peace that you so importantly described. To close this afternoon, I want to thank all of you in this room, all of the participants, as well as those who watched online. Also particularly our speakers and presenters today, Mr. Komizo, Mr. Alandawi, Mr. Tanabe, and all the panelists who have also shared with us.
So I feel that the day was too short, but this is definitely the first step, as I just mentioned, and as Envoy on Youth just really reminded us, and challenged us, really we have to take action for peace and security as the young generation. So, I think really we have to, the value of this conference, what we were able to accomplish will be decided depending on what actions we can take from now on, the moment we leave this door. So, we should be promoting the pledge that we just introduced to expand the youth who are part of this generation of change. We want you to start taking action in your own capacity. In my table, there was a young man, 15 years old, who promised that he would make a video about nuclear abolition. So we'll be watching him. And based on what you learned today, please do anything that you can do in your own capacity. So this summit is not just an event, but the first step toward the future action.
So before we close, let me say it one more time. Internationalyouthsummit.org. I hope that you will read the full pledge, sign on, and encourage your friends, your colleagues, your family to do so as well. So in closing, we would like to thank all of the volunteers, the behind-the-scenes staff, our amazing translators who were doing immediate translation today into your earpieces, as well as all of the volunteer translators who are at our various tables for the small group discussions. So first, I just want to ask our MCs, Nadia and Ashraf, just to come up to the stage. Thank you both so much for leading us and guiding us through this day today.
Close your eyes.
And if all the volunteers, all of the 30 international participants are behind the scenes staff, please come up and be recognized on the stage. Thank you
So your
all.
house is mine too. And if you look to the heart, these words will ring true. Time to say goodbye to the fear within you. It's what you do, a revolution in you. Aim to change yourself and trust that I will too. It's what we have to do.
We also want all the volunteers, the local staff members to come to the stage too. So all the youth from Hiroshima that made this event possible. And I know some of the translators are still working, but other translation volunteers, if you're available, please come to the stage.
Stand up, we unstoppable because we made a vow to make the impossible possible.
If you only believe in the things that we don't share, then you'll only see a people without care. If you only believe in the things that we don't share, then the future will be a world without us there. Take my hand, put down your arms. You can change the world, no matter who you are. Determination takes hold of resignation. Come and join us in a global transformation.
In Hiroshima, I saw the blast in the sky. One atomic bomb, 100,000 lives. All the vaporized smoke gone in the breeze. And melt the sister in the river, 100,000 degrees. Sound on earth, but some cloud above. So the smoke took the shape of 10,000 doves. I'm not a soldier for war, one soldier for peace. One sunflower makes 10,000 seeds, yep.
Cause if you really believe that the world is ours to share, and you really respect the hearts of everyone there, cause if you really believe that the world is ours to share, and believe me, you'll see a world less despair. Time to say goodbye to the fear within you. It's what you do, a revolution in you. Aim to change yourself and trust that I will too. It's what we have to do.
Yeah.
So this whole concludes the today's summit. Thank you all so much for coming and have a safe trip back home. Thank you so much.
一つ傘の忘れ物がございましたので、ご婦人用かと思われますが、心当たりのある方はどうぞマイクの方までお越しください。